Hey everyone, John here from All Miniatures Great and Small. Today on What's on the Table, I'm going to be talking about spaceships, one of my favorite subjects of all time. So if you watched one of my 3D printing videos, I talked about and reviewed some anime-inspired spaceships from Miniature Martin. You can find him on My Mini Factory. And this was one of the ships that I printed in that scale. And I liked I love the ship, and the scale is okay, but it's kind of tiny, as you can see. So I decided to upscale these, and I finally had some time to sit down and get some paint on them and show you kind of where I am. So this is basically a battleship design, and then I 3D printed, and this is one of the cool advantages of 3D printing. I just upscaled the model 150%, so it's 50% bigger, and this is what I end up with, which is much better for my older eyes as far as painting goes. And I think the model stands up really well, even when it's a little bit bigger. So these are again the battleship. And overall, I am very pleased with the design. I airbrushed the base coat on, and it's a little bit light, particularly under the studio lights. But it's a nice gray, and if you're familiar with Space Battleship Yamato and the like, they do take their battleship gray into space. So this is the battleship, and then I printed the carrier, which is I think the largest of the models. And this one I did add some decals on the elevators. I tried to find some numbers to put on the front, but I didn't find anything I really liked. Eventually I might. I put some decals for these extra stripes on the back because my freehand's not that good. I like the numbers, but this is me just being crazy, like which way do I face them, how do I number them? So my thought was, if I'm on the bridge of the ship and I'm looking out the window across as the captain, I want to be able to read the numbers. So I don't want the numbers facing out, I wanted them facing in. Even though it might look a little silly this way, my internal head logic are like, okay, well, that would work for the commander. And then I put the first 4 elevators up at the front where you would do most of your launching operations, and then these other 4 in the back. At least I assume that those are elevators in my head canon. I wouldn't be surprised if Miniature Martin told me I was totally wrong. But anyway, I really like that one. And then probably my favorite of all the ships in this range is the heavy cruiser. I think he calls it the Athena class. And I don't know, just I love the battleship, don't get me wrong, but there's just proportionally, I think, something as hitting all cylinders on this one. I really like it. So much that I figured, you'd probably need 2 heavy cruisers and make a little heavy cruiser squadron. I figure you can't have a carrier without some escorts as well, so I printed a couple of these destroyers. They had a couple of weapon options, which I liked. Let's get this guy in focus. This guy has a turret on the top, and you can kind of see this has some really clean, sleek lines. It looks really fast. No wave motion cannon hole in the front, though, or whatever the non-copyrighted version would be. I always liked there was some version of Space Battleship Yamato where the dubbing was just terrible, or I think it was the subtitles. So if you don't know, the wave motion gun is the big giant gun in the front of the Yamato, and the subtitle called it a undulation cannon. So in this one, instead of a turret on the front, has like a missile launcher system. Also for these guys, the carrier model when you purchase that STL, does come with fighters. I haven't painted them yet. I just put a base coat on them. These I did not increase by to 150%. I just kept them the original size, and I think they actually work better here with this size. So they look almost to scale. I'm sure they're not, but you know, I think they look great. So you can't have one fleet without another fleet. And I know in Miniature Martin's history for this range, which is, what does he call it, Space Battleship Hachiman, these guys are actually the bad guys. At least I think that's right. But in my headcanon, they're going to be the good guys in my space game. And then he calls, I think Miniature Martin calls these the Hamelons, which is a very cheeky nod to the Gamelons or Galmans of Space Battleship Yamato. There's currently only 2 models for these guys in the range, and I printed out 2 of each. They do come with fighters, and again, this is just a base coat on there. Those are very reminiscent of Comet Empire Death Evaders, or I forget what they're called, Scorpion Fighters and Star Blazers. And these are kind of a cool combination of Gamelon and Comet Empire Gatlantis styling, which I really like. Now, I wanted some cool anime colors. I knew the Earth ships were going to be boring gray, so I wanted the aliens to have something very bright. And plus, I've been painting 15mm tanks in drab greens and browns for years. I wanted to play with something brighter. I don't collect Eldar or anything like that. So I thought I'd go as garish as I could with these guys, and this is using primarily, this is all contrast. This is all contrast paint on these guys, except for maybe, no, I think everything is contrast paint. I used, let me see, I got my paint rack right here. This striking scorpion green as the primary base color on this. Jake hates this color. He says it's way too bright and terrible on the eyes. I think it's, I also think it's garish and outlandish, but I love every second of it. So, but for my purposes, I would love to have, now Miniature Martin, I'm talking to you, some escorts or cruiser-sized ships for these guys to flesh out their fleet. Because all I've got is battleships and carriers. Now, if you're viewers and you're interested in this range or picking up this range, please do head over to My Mini Factory, and I'll put a link down in the video description below. I am not being paid or anything like that. I just like spaceships, and selfishly I want more. So if you guys do pick up STLs of these models from Miniature Martin, that's going to let him know the range is popular. Maybe he'll make some more spaceships for us to play with, because these are great. Now, I'll put it out there too. I'm looking for 3D printing files for anime-inspired spaceships out there, and you know, these are the best ones I have found in the style that I'm looking for. There's fantastic stuff out there, but these are the ones that kind of have spoken to me. If you have a favorite line or range, particularly anime inspired, but you know, it doesn't have to be, let me know. Let me know down in the comments below. I love spaceships, and hopefully I will get these out on the table. But either way, it's nice, particularly when you're 3D printing, you end up with a ton of stuff that never gets painted, that I was able to put some paint on everything here for this range, and I'm very excited for it. So there you go, guys. If you like spaceships, you are into 3D printing, check out Miniature Martin again. Check out my 3D printing review of his range, where I talk about this in more detail. Some of this I'm just repeating because I'm just fanboying over these, you know, designs. But yeah, there you go, guys. That's what's on the table this week. I hope you enjoyed this. If you do, please again do consider giving us a like and subscribe. Click that bell to receive notification when we release new content. That always helps with the YouTube algorithms and, you know, helps get more viewers to the channel, and I always appreciate it. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and keep on gaming.